what's up YouTube? We are back again with another video. This is going to be a little different. We're finally getting a push day. I never really document on my Instagram or anything any of my push days, mostly because my delts are my weakness, so I figure I'll let the people with really good delts do the explaining for push days. So I'm running a little late. I start, as I mentioned before, I try to start all my workouts these days with some abs and calves. So I'm gonna do quick little supersets, some standing calf raises with a ab crunch machine, and then we will get right into it. Probably not gonna do a ton of talking today. Just as I said, leave the delt explanation to the pros, but you can see what I do, and I'll add in my little tips and tricks along the way. I always used to, I think I went like the first 4 years of my lifting career thinking I didn't need to train abs because I always did such heavy compounds, but I have very shallow abs, so I think I learned I need direct ab work. So I've been doing, I've got a little morning ab routine that I do after my cardio, which is 4 days a week, and then I'll throw in an extra day there if I need to. So I'm staying on top of that, and then I knock abs and calves out first thing pretty much every day. So I don't freaking keep dropping the ball on them. I'm gonna have calves in 2035. Now we're gonna get started to the root of the push day. Most of my push days, honestly, I call them a push day, but it's mostly delts. I've got one chest press and I sprinkle in some arms. So before I get into anything, I do a couple sets of seated bicep curls, and then I'll do a flat press, and then I'll get into delts. Go onto a press. This is my favorite part of the day. These are something that my friend Tanya has really been helping me perfect, and it's made me realize I've gone my entire lifting career like not really knowing how to press correctly. And how I'm doing it, I am trying to recruit a little more front delt than, say, a male bodybuilder might. But the focus for me is to make sure I'm leading with my elbows. So I do get a brief, pretty good lockout at the top there, but I also make sure that when I'm coming down into the stretch motion, I'm stopping while the tension is still on my chest. If I go all the way down here, it just stresses out my shoulder joint. So I'm gonna stop right here, hesitate briefly, and then lead with the elbows together, pointing up. I'm just gonna do a simple straight top set here. I go for a little lower rep range just honestly because it's fun for me. So I'll do 6 to 8 and then I'll do a back off of ideally at least 12. I haven't done my heavy top set in, gosh, probably like 2 or 3 weeks. It was just I could feel my shoulder joint kind of like getting tired because when I go to hoist it up, I do something wonky on this side. So I was kind of staying in the higher rep range for a little bit, but I'm feeling good. I've taken a couple weeks to be a little safer, so hopefully I can get the 85s back up today. Don't waste your energy with too many warm-up reps. Just touch it, make sure everything feels good, and then go for it. These are probably, I always talk about honestly only doing like one warm-up set. Since this is the first movement, I kind of take my time. So I went 50, 60, 65, 75, and now I'll do 85. But after that, I kind of just get right into it. So since we're filming today, I'm gonna see if I can do the 90s. I'm not gonna do my high rep back off set. There. Now I know I can start with these next week, and then I can do a proper back off. But I love bench pressing. I love bench pressing. I wish I had a full chest day. I feel like leg days and back days, I can just like talk about what I'm doing, whereas this stuff, like, I'm not as comfortable, just because I don't have the, I don't know. Anyway.
So when you're bodybuilding and with your classes and women's bodybuilding, like physique or being a figure, how do you know in your long off season that you're doing the right thing to get where you want to be stage ready? Like, what if, is there a, oh man, I should have worked out this week, or I should have had 200 more grams of rice. It's gonna throw me off and set me back 2 months to where I want to be at.
You know, as far as like the training plan and the nutrition goes, I know I say this all the time. Your coach doesn't want you to fail. Your coach wants to set you up for success too. So ultimately, I think a lot of it boils down to trusting yourself. Not to like sound proud of myself, but like I do know like I don't miss in terms of nailing my nutrition, nailing my training. And the way I look at it a lot of times too is I love this part of it. I truly love this part of it. So even when I am in the depths of off season and can't necessarily see the improvements, I just have to trust that they're happening. And in a lot of ways, they can't not be happening because I know I'm nailing the nutrition. I know I'm progressively overloading in the training. I know the movements feel good and I'm connecting with them. So you just have to trust that. And if you can't trust yourself, then I would maybe take a couple steps back and see where you're falling short and where you've let yourself down in the past, that you're struggling to trust yourself and know that the improvements are there.
Is there a major, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is there a major difference if you were going for figure versus a separate class and what you would do in your off season?
Yeah, I do think the bigger the division, probably the longer you would need in an off-season setting. You know, there might be more food, there might be probably different structuring of PEDs between figure and women's physique or bodybuilding. I do feel like the bikini athletes perhaps don't need, so where I took an entire off-season from turning pro and then doing my pro debut in the fall, next fall, perhaps the bikini athlete could have gotten away with like a 6-month off-season. So, but at the end of the day, the amount of work being put in is all the same. Like, all of these girls are just absolutely nailing it, no matter what division they're in. All right, moving on to delts. I do pretty high rep rear delt flies, laterals. Yeah, high rep, high volume. I'll do a heavy press. I'll see how my shoulder's feeling, maybe do a heavy press at the end. I have 3 different push days. Honestly, I can't really remember what I do this day, but so far we're doing good. Do 3 sets of 15 to 20 here. I do higher rep, higher volume for laterals and rear delts. So get these out of the way. Then we'll move on to some laterals. I used to do a overhead press first, but I gotta move those to the end. I gotta get these shoulder joints feeling a little less crunchy. So we'll hit those when we're warm. Shoulders will be warmed up. Don't have to move as heavy a load, but it'll still be good sets. One of my favorite lateral variations is cable lying on a bench. I've also done these certain cable stacks. You can actually just lie right on the ground. But if you don't like being on the dirty gym floor, then the bench works great. So I like these because I can lock my entire upper body in stone. I'm not going to use any momentum. I'm not going to engage my trap. And I can get a lot of tension on the delt, especially even in the bottom portion of the movement. First set's going to be fairly heavy, probably only 8 to 10 reps, mainly because there's a big jump in plates, and it just, if you stick a little 2.5 on there or a 5, it gets jammed in the stack. So I'll get a heavy set out of the way, and then I'll do 3 back off sets that are going to be 15 to 20. When I start these, I try to make sure that I'm keeping my shoulders locked down, not raising them up towards my ears. So punch down, then go. Last set, I'll go even lighter with the weight, and I think I'll do some of the 1.5 reps that you've seen me do on seated leg curls, hack squats, pretty much anything. Okay, on to triceps. Some triceps, it'll let the pump die down a little bit, and then we can do more laterals and a press. Sets of, I don't know, 10 to 15 here. How many did I just do?
I wasn't counting.
13? 13 sounds good. going to move on to a pin-loaded neutral grip press. I like these because I can feel it in my front delt really well, and I do think the front delt is really what gives the most dimension to your side shot, your quarter turn. So I'm trying to beef those bad boys up. Honestly, I'm trying to beef all of them up. One thing, when you're doing these presses, whether it's the overhead press, you probably noticed it on my flat dumbbell press, contract the muscle you're trying to target hard at the top. Don't be so afraid of locking out. I think a lot of people are afraid of locking out. But you can see at the top, I'm just squeezing the heck out of my delt. Just like at the top of the flat press, I'm squeezing the heck out of my pec. I'm doing 3 sets here because, as I mentioned before, normally I'll do a dumbbell overhead press in the beginning, but I kind of pulled those to move them towards the end. So instead I'll just add an extra set here since I was doing this on the end anyway. So that way I'm still getting the same amount of volume, but it just feels better on my joints. Alright, finish up with some biceps and then we are done.
What's the joy in bodybuilding once you've already gotten your pro card? Like, seeing that you've already won, like what's keeps you saying like, oh, I just want to do competitions? I mean, like, what's next? Like, you know, NBA people win the championship and it's like, oh, win another one. What's the motivating factor with bodybuilding?
I guess it's now, in a sense, like there's no pressure on me in this moment. Like, I know I'm starting over from the bottom, and I get to go be compared to ladies that I have like admired the entire time I've been lifting. So I go into it very, very humbly, and it's going to be, you know, a privilege and an opportunity to stand next to all of these ladies who have been, you know, busting their asses for a decade. But also for me personally, I think a lot of my motivation doesn't even lie within any stage goals so much as challenging myself every day in the gym. I know this sounds very ego-driven and maybe I should just be a power lifter if this is how I think, but I love challenging myself and lifting heavier every week, and just beating myself up in that regard. So Yeah, I think honestly turning pro is just kind of, as cliche as it sounds, like opening the door for the next chapter, the next adventure, even though it's the same goals, only magnified. Can you get me in the mirror? Do I look jacked? I better not look as pale as I looked in the last one. I saw that and was like, oh my God, I've got to go tanning. So I went tanning the other day and I figured I'd be able to go get 2 sessions in before we filmed this. But I don't think the girl set the timer, so I'm laying in that bed. It was only supposed to be 12 minutes, and the next thing I know, I'm thinking like, man, I feel like I've been in here a long time, and the timer says 17 minutes and 32 seconds. I got home, and my stomach is so red, so I tried. Next week I'll be tan.
I could probably make it darker. This light right here is extremely harsh. So it's just straight
maybe
shadow.
try filming me like once I step into the light, might be better.
Yeah.
And I look cool. Honestly, I think the hardest part of off season for me is like eating the meals. I'm not a food motivated individual. Like I don't really care about going out to eat or anything. I like my meals, but right now I've got 3 servings of cream of rice at 80 grams, and then I've got 2 servings of rice at 200 grams. And it's just a lot of food, man. But I was excited. I had my company holiday party last night. I was like, you know what? Got 3 meals left. I'm just gonna go eat some appetizers at the party, enjoy myself for once because I never get anything out. They didn't even have any appetizers. I didn't eat a damn thing. I had a bottle of water. So I fell short on my meals. I'm a little hungry right now, believe it or not, but it feels good because I can't remember the last time I was hungry, but I really wanted, this was my one outing of the entire year and I didn't get a single fucking appetizer. was so far behind in weight this time, but normally I do this and then I do that. So I think I overshot my weight a little bit, but that will wrap up today's push day. Please check me out on Instagram. I post a lot of training, physique updates on there. If you have any questions, anything you want to see, drop them in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and I hope you come back for my next one.